live yet?
There it is.
Now we're live.
Now.
Meow.
Here we are. This is Lowballing. Tonight we have kind of a special show, and I mean that in as many ways as you can think of. Our guests are quite special in more ways than one. We have pretty much the not the whole Wyrd Realities crew with us tonight, but a large portion of the podcast crew. Of course, Alan's always with me. He's the author of the Zulu series. Give him a big hand. That's a clue. You can find that on all his covers.
Thanks, Joe.
Now we also have Rich Restucci. This is his second time on the show. I've got a lot of questions about, for him about his career. He's the author of the Run series and 2 series combined. I've read them. I don't remember all the titles, but I've read them and they're very good. He's a scientist, and we're going to actually find out tonight if scientists just stay home and get paid for being smart, or if they actually have a job to do. And I think that'd be nice.
He's a scientist for the Empire. Look at those things behind him.
Yeah, right.
Then we have Scott Baker with us. He is the author of the Nurse Alyssa series. That's quite a strong following. For an ex-CIA agent, he has turned out to be pretty easy to deal with.
He's retired, Joe. He's not ex. He's retired.
Is that a knock I hear on the door behind you, Joe?
Yeah.
Careful.
Yeah, there you go.
You can take the boy out of the CIA, but you can't take the CIA out of the boy.
Ah, shit. Yeah, well, whatever I have is buried out in the back by the stones there.
Yeah.
Eventually we'll put a garden, but feel free to dig it up.
Oh, we already did. We put some of our own bodies there instead.
Also, we have with us our fearless leader. She is the dominant one of the group, Hadley Thorne. She is the author of the Tapestry of Worlds, which is a very good series. And if you've picked up anything from this intro, you'll realize that we all try to be writers. I am the author of the No Man's Land series, as well as several standalones. And Alan and I are both authors in the 5 Roads to Texas series. So we spend a lot of time with a pen in hand and trying to entertain people, because
that's not what my wife calls it.
Because I think for the most part, you really can't be in this for the money, because the money is way too inconsistent to rely on. So you got to be in it for a love of writing and a desire to entertain. So what interested you most, Scott, about getting into writing and becoming a writer? Was it a conscious thought, or was it something you kind of fell into?
I always wanted to be a writer. My mother, who I think is watching, hi Ma, she bought me anything as long as I was reading, she'd buy me the books. And I was big into science fiction and horror. So when I was growing up, she got me Dracula, Frankenstein. She bought me everything by Jules Verne, H.G. Wells, Poe. And I loved reading. I loved writing.
Did you get into any of the like when you were I don't want to say adolescent, but preteen and teen? Did you get into writing, like, some people wrote fan fiction, other people tried to write poetry or short stories?
I wrote, now mind you, I was like about 10 years old. I had these little tiny notebooks, and during the summer I would write really short stories in them. They were crap, but I was writing them. Carl Kolchak, the Night Stalker, was a big influence. I loved the way he wrote, especially the beginning and the end monologues. And I seriously started writing after college. I was trying to get into the CIA. I was reading up on espionage. I wrote 2 espionage thrillers first one was absolute crap. I think one person has read it. The second one was okay, but nobody wanted it. Then the third book was a techno thriller. It was North Korea develops 5 nuclear weapons, detonates one, and hides the other 4 in the United States, and says, if you do not, leave South Korea, we're going to blow up parts of the United States. Was well written. I got a lot of people to help me. I was in the government at the time. I got a lot of people to help me with the research. It was with an agent. It was sitting in one of the big name publishers in New York City, and 9/11 hit. And the market for that dried up overnight. So the literary agent sent it back, said, it's a shame. This is good. Hi, Stephen.
Hey, Stephen.
Hey,
Good,
Stephen.
but
he's a domer.
Yeah.
Hey, Stephen.
Yeah.
We actually met Stephen.
Yeah.
In person in Tennessee.
Yeah.
Oh,
we've met him. He's a good man. Good
guy.
But
go ahead, Scott. I'm sorry.
After that, I took a couple of years off. I was involved with the War on Terror. And then when I wanted to go back to writing, I couldn't figure out what to write. And, I loved horror. I've always read horror. I've always watched horror. And I went to see the movie Van Helsing with a friend of mine. And we liked the movie. And as we were walking out of the theater, she said, what do you think of it? I said, it was a great movie, but I says, I could write a better script. And she looked at me and grinned and said, well, why don't you? And that was in 2004. A couple of weeks later, I started writing The Vampire Hunters, and I've been writing and publishing ever since.
Nice.
So basically, your whole life, you knew what you were going to eventually become.
Yes.
But you also knew that wasn't going to be where the money's at.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
And I think that's important for anybody who's expecting to come on and be an indie author, unless you've got some reputation behind you or popularity within the world ahead of time. Don't expect to come on and make yourself rich overnight. It's going to take a big expense, a physical dedication, and a financial dedication in order to really make a good stab at this. Hadley, did you ever think you'd be an author as a kid, or is that something you always
wanted to? Yes, I love to read, and I always wanted to be involved in the world. So I started writing the short stories. Gosh, I don't remember how old I was, but I know, even in high school, I would write a story and pass it to my friend as a note. And so I have these still, these little drawings that we'd make from when we went out over the weekend, and it would be like a recap. So I loved it. I always wanted to be a writer. I just had stories to tell.
Good for you. Now, when you wrote Tapestry, that kind of struck me as being a combination of fantasy and science fiction all the way. Was that a concept you held for a long time, or was that something that just came to you in the spur of the moment? Because it's quite different.
I've been talking about this book for 20 years, probably.
Okay.
As long as I've known Morgana, she can tell you I've talked about this book. It's the book I wanted to write. It wasn't necessarily genre specific. That's one reason I've had such a hard time marketing it, because it covers so many different genres, but it's the story I wanted to tell. And I wasn't going to let, because I had a good friend who was helping me shape the story somewhat. And she kept saying, well, you need to make it more romancy. And I was like, no, this is the story I want to tell. And of course it's not really fitting in any genre. So it's not going off the shelves or anything great like that, but I love it. I listened to it. It's on Audible now, and I listened to it the other night, and I was like, "My gosh, I did it!"
Isn't that great? That's
it was. Feeling. It was. Something about having someone else say your words just kind of breathes life into it.
I love it. Plus, I make more money off Audible than I do anything else. So. But I truly love listening to my own stories being read to me. I think that's a wonderful thing.
Just like your own voice, Joe.
What
He does have a nice voice.
Just like your own voice.
I hate my voice on the radio. I listen to these lowballing episodes and I'm like, oh my God, you noisy son of a bitch.
I don't think
Holy
anyone's happy
crap.
with their voice, you know.
I love Joe's voice. Joe's got a great voice.
He does.
Yeah. Rich, tell me about your journey to become a writer. Was this something you knew you'd always do?
Hell no. I was the polar opposite of the first two folks that just came.
Yeah.
I hated writing. I was in English class, and I never thought I'd do anything like that. In fact, my freshman year of high school, I had this Latin class, and right after Latin class was my English class, and we had a weekly paper. It was on it was just whatever we wanted to write about. It was a story, and I would write that story in that Latin class every single time and pass it in. The stories were okay. They were off the wall, but so am I. And then when I turned 17, I wrote this. I just started writing. I just figured, what the hell, I'll do it. I started writing, and that was Run. That was the book that you've read, Run. And I wrote it with a pen, and in a notebook, and put it in my parents' garage, and it stayed there until I was from 17 to 43, 44. And then I was bored at work at lunch, and I just went online at lunch, and I found this zombie website. It was called I can't remember what it was called, but I started reading these stories, and I said, I could do that. And so I went to my parents' garage, picked out the box, found the thing, typed it up, put it on that website. I prettied it up a little, and people loved it. And it's homepageofthedead.com is what it was. And
That's
people
impressive.
really enjoyed it.
Impressive.
And I was okay. So I was like, great. And this one dude said, he said, you should be a writer. I was like, well, I don't know about that. So I got contacted or I tried to get it to Bermuda, and they were like, hell with you, you suck. It's like, all right. And then another guy from Severed Press, he called me and he's like, hey, I really like your story. Do you want us to publish it? I said, are you kidding me? Yeah, go for it. And so I got it published, and I'm thinking that I'm going to sell, 2 copies, one to me, one to my mom. Right. And the thing exploded. I just hit at the absolute perfect time. I think it was 2015, and it was a zombie book, and people were just eating up zombies at the time. And I got a niche genre. It exploded. Like I said, it did really well. And from there, I just kind of moved on.
Cool.
Lucky.
Cool. Alan, were you a child growing up saying, oh, Mama, buy me a pen? So I can,
yes, I sounded just like that.
World,
oh, Mama, buy me a pen. Well, first, I got to say hi to Whitney. I got to say hi to Whitney. It's her birthday today.
Happy birthday, Whitney.
She's 12 today. Anyway, I always liked to write. I always did. I wrote junior high school. I wanted to be a reporter. And then when I went to college and I had to interview people, it sucked. I couldn't do it. I just hated it. So I put those plans on a shelf. But I had tons of stories written already, But what I really want to do was be a director. But the good thing about writing is you can direct your own movies on paper, So I really like that. But no, I always wanted to write. I did. My dad fed me Edgar Rice Burroughs, John Carter of Mars, Conan, all those. And I just ate them up, and I loved them. So that got my interest. So I always wanted to entertain, if you can't tell. So
well, you are entertaining.
Yeah, you are.
Well,
entertaining.
I
Very
try.
entertaining.
You could fall down and entertain people, I guess.
For me, I guess it was a little different. I mean, if I could have become a professional reader, that's what I would have done, because I am all about the story, and I read so many by the time I was 19. I had, Michael Moorcock and Frank Herbert, and of course Tolkien, and
was that your safe word?
Gary Brooks, and purple's my safe word. You know that.
How does he know that?
But I had read so many by the time I was 19. I just started thinking a lot like Rich did of, I can write better crap than this. You know, I mean, this is great stuff. It's entertaining, but you know, somehow their plot lines were starting to let me down because my imagination was taking it somewhere beyond where they were. And I just
Right.
thought, okay, now I didn't realize that to translate what's in your mind onto paper is a very difficult thing. So I wrote several things and I gave them to friends to read and stuff. And everybody was always, oh yeah, that's great. Oh yeah, that's great. But somehow I knew it was just they were trying not to hurt my feelings.
Well, you
So I-
also are a talented
Hey, Tony.
artist.
Tony.
Hey, Tony.
Yeah,
Tony. Good to see you, Tony.
I do. Hey, Tony. I do a lot of stippling, and I'm a trained architect, so draftsman. So I do a lot of 3D perspectives and renderings and things like that. So yeah, I am a bit of an artist, but writing was really always kind of where I wanted to go with it. But I never felt I was getting an honest opinion. So I went online, and this is a tip for a lot of people out there if you're thinking of becoming a writer and really want to hone your craft. I went online and I joined a couple of critique groups where first they spent a couple of months of teaching me how to critique a story. And they would make me read several stories and then give my opinion on it. And the first one I did, oh, yeah, that was a good story. And they're like, what are you talking about? This was an Edgar Rice Burroughs story. And they said, there are so many plot holes in this, it's pathetic. And they pointed them out to me. And then they gave me another story and said, try this again. So I became critical, and then I learned how to have my stories criticized and to grow from there. And then you know, the whole time I was writing the story that is out now as Cataclysm before it was called Tick, and I wrote it by hand once, and then I wrote it by typewriter once, and then they invented computers, so I wrote it again there, and then I wrote it a fourth time and released it.
So did
But
they invent computers after you hand wrote it or after the typewriter? When did they invent computers, Joe?
Well, they invented computers kind of before that, but I didn't pick up on them for a few years. Matter of fact, I was a never computer kind of person.
You were. You were. A
I
Luddite.
was. A Luddite, is that what they call it?
Yep,
Yeah.
you were a Luddite. Oh,
But anyways,
jump out, man. Jump
that's
out.
all right. I'm trying to finish it up quick here because I'm realizing that I'm starting to run on and get boring, and we don't want to be boring. As a matter of fact, I got to come up with another question quick. But
Okay. Well, Hadley. So that let me say something real quick. Not that I have it. You should be pretty proud of yourself for accomplishing what you've done so far. That's awesome. Because you're fairly new to having being published, and the rest of us have all been are old in public. And so that's got to be pretty cool. Still fresh. I don't know. I mean, I get excited when I put something new out, and I'm sure Scott does, and Joe and Rich. But that's got to be still kind of really
Well,
fresh for you.
when I started, I was really dedicated to like so many words a day writing. I mean, I had a plan. Like my third book should have already been released. It should have been released last summer. So I feel like I've dropped the ball, but I kind of just made the choice to focus on Wyrd Realities for a while, and that's what I've been doing. And right now, I'm at the cusp of getting back to writing. I'm really eager to start the third book. And I'm just going to make the time. I've got to get my schedule together, but I'm trying to juggle some things where I've got Wyrd Reality stuff to do on Thursdays and Fridays, and then I'll have the weekends ready to write. And I'm just going to make a word count goal a week with it. But I mean, I've got this in my head. The storyline is probably 10 to 12 books.
That's half the
So
battle.
yeah, I mean, I know the stories I want to tell, the characters I really want to see more of, but it's just a matter of tying up this third book and getting it out there.
you're pretty young though. You have time.
We're not going to talk about how young I am.
I think that's great. I really do. I
do too.
never have a picture in my head. I fly by the seat of my pants for everything I write.
Yeah, I do too, pretty much.
I think that I wish I could do storyboards and Hadley know what I wanted to, that there's going to be 12 books and I want this to happen.
Well,
I just
no,
can't.
let's be honest. It's a lot looser than that. It's more like I've got some characters I want to explore where they're going to go, but when I'm writing, they tell me what to do. I don't like I had characters that
Yeah,
I
how it
thought
goes.
that would come out later.
Mhm.
Like they threw themselves into a story. So it's really just I'm very organic in the process, but in my head I know that the world it's a whole world, and I'm sure Joe understands. He's got a 700 and something thousand page
Yeah.
book. It's huge. It's like a world literature college book that I've got sitting on my shelf here. But I'm just breaking it down into little pieces of it. Like I said, I don't know if y'all are familiar with the author Charles DeLint,
No.
but
Yes, I know of him. Didn't he
well,
write with Sprague? Him and Sprague do books together?
I'm not
No, that
sure.
was DeCamp.
Oh,
That was
okay,
DeCamp.
okay.
But he writes in a way that he has like a town, and the town has so many different people who live there, and that's kind of where I got the idea of I wanted all my stories to intersect and to have that kind of anchor. So when I say, I've got 12 books, I mean that's what I mean is I've got a world, and
Yeah.
that's just kind of what I'm building it on.
Yeah,
Well, I've got like plots. I mean, I've got the next 3 Nurse Alyssa books semi-plotted out. Hi,
Hi, Laura.
Laura.
Hey, Laura.
I got
Hi,
the
Laura.
I got the next 3 Tatiana paranormal books planned out. The next Chronicles of Paul, and I've got another series. I've got the first book written, and once the Nurse Alyssa series goes, I'm going to start working on that one full time. That's World
Jeez.
War II SS Occult.
So
I'm
that
glad
head of
you-
yours is just.
I
full
know,
of-
right?
I'm glad you jumped in there, Scott, because my next question was going to go to you anyways.
Oh,
When you were you're going along, you're writing stories, you're retired CIA, you've probably killed 100 million people silently with silencers,
yes.
because you're a very dangerous individual. And then you come across this poor young girl named Hadley who's starting this podcast thing. What was your feeling about that when you first encountered this opportunity?
I owe Hadley so much because I used to watch the shows thinking, oh man, I would love to be on something like this. And like about a month or so later, Hadley's like saying, hey, would you like to join the show? So it's been one of the best experiences. And I say that truthfully, not because you're all here, but I look forward to Thursday nights.
So do I.
Fun. Yeah, it's fun. It's great. No matter how crappy my day or week was, I always sit down, come down here, fire up the computer with a smile on my face.
That's great.
Fun. It's fun. The
That's
fans, the people who listen to it love the show. And, that's what we're all about. We're entertainers.
How about you, Rich?
I mean, yeah, kind of the same thing as Scott. I mean, Hadley asked me to. She wanted me to jump in on that Army of the Dead panel that they had, and I had a martial arts thing that night and I couldn't do it, and I was really sad. I was like, oh damn, I want, and then I watched it later on. And I was like, I could have been on this freaking panel, and stupid black belt test, that type of thing. But I really appreciate Hadley for what she's done for all of us. I mean, the rest
remind me not to try and kick your ass.
Yeah. Well, that was like a few years ago, but last year.
That's foreplay for Joe. Don't worry about it, Rich.
But yeah, I'm very indebted to Hadley for this opportunity, and all of you guys too. The Wyrd Realities crew. You guys are all great. Even the people that aren't on the screen with us tonight are just fantastic people.
They really are. They really
such
are
wonderful people, and I'm just happy to be a part of it.
Alan, how about you?
Who's Hadley? Who's Hadley?
You've taken a big part with her. I mean, you stepped in and became her partner almost.
No. She does all the work.
He is my right hand man.
She does all the work. I just reap all the benefits. No, the Army of the Dead thing was really cool, and then it just moved forward from there. And Hadley just, like Rich and Scott, I just owe Hadley a lot. It's fun to Thursday nights to hang out and talk about, geek out about movies, and you're with, 3 other geeks, or, when you join us, 4 other geeks that love movies. Well, you don't love them as much as we do, Joe. I know how you are.
No, I don't, and I don't do music anymore either. I'm all about the story.
You're all about the story. You're all about the
story.
The story, yeah.
That's all I do.
But no, it's great. Hadley's just a great boss and a great
Y'all
cat
make
herder.
it sound like I did.
She's a
I
great
get
cat
to
herder.
hang out with my favorite writers all the time. I mean, who can complain? I get to hang out with people who inspire me, and I mean, y'all just don't know. I mean, I'm just this kid in Mississippi that gets to hang out with some really cool dudes all the time. So I'm the lucky one.
For me, it was
are.
a little different. I was, I'm a recluse, so I was
You
in
are.
my own little hovel, and I talk to Alan now and again. And one day Alan said, "Hey, we got this thing going on here over here, Wyrd Realities." And I said, "Oh, okay, that's cool. Tell people to stay away. Why won't anybody buy my books? Stay away, stay away."
Well, it's
sometimes we're our own worst enemy, but in order to write, I have to do things like that. Like, in order to write, I can't care about reviews or what people think of me or anything like that. I have to stay focused on being my creative self, and that means keeping my mind clear. So Ellen asked me to, come check it out. So I checked it out, and I saw HWI, and then I went through one of these purges where you realize you're on way too many groups that you never visit, so you just clean out your computer. And I cleaned out HWI, and like a week later, Alan's going, I was talking to Hadley about you the other day, and I'm like, "Who's Hadley?" She's like, "Oh, she's a girl who I've been doing a lot of stuff with online, and she."
Wait, you better say it differently than that.
Yeah, that came out
got
real
family
bad,
listening.
Joe.
No, not that like that. Not like that.
No, I didn't mean like that at all. I'm just relaying how it went. She said that online. I said online.
Yeah.
But anyways, so then he said, well, and she read your book and liked it. And I'm like, okay, I'm interested.
Actually, and I don't know that y'all know this, but everybody that's on Audible, because I know, Scott, that you don't have a lot on Audible.
Just
but,
3, yeah.
I had already listened, and I didn't realize it, except for Rich Restucci, because I memorized his name because I was waiting for the next book to come out, and I was like, I can't forget this name. But I had listened to Alan. I'd listened to Joe. I actually have Zombie Rush 1, 2, and 3. I'd gotten those on Audible, and I had listened to these. So when I say I'm a fan, I mean it. I'd already listened to your stuff, and I was just really, like I said, it was like, oh my gosh, that he wrote that. Oh, and Joe wrote the one. And again, I'm really bad with names, and I do a lot of reading when I'm going to bed at night, so sometimes I forget things. But Joe's books was in Arkansas, and I was just thought that was the neatest place to have a zombie book, was in Arkansas of all places. So
the only thing I know about Arkansas is I got in a truck accident in an ice storm in Mena, Arkansas, and that's when I broke my back and had a steering wheel imprint on my chest, and had to take a Greyhound bus all the way home. I was a big tough guy then, so you never acknowledge pain.
Yes.
You get out of
You didn't go to the
hospital?
No, I didn't go to the hospital. I went to the bus station. Went home. Said, "Sorry, Dad, I ruined your truck." That's the break.
And now you got revenge on Arkansas by writing a zombie apocalypse in Arkansas.
Then I decided to kill everyone in Arkansas. But no, and it turned out that this place was really cool. I mean, I'm in another group of authors, Phalanx Press, and those guys are really cool. We've been friends for a long time. We've met up 2, 3, 4, 5 different times. J.L. Bourne and W.J. Lundy, and there's some really, really talented authors there. Of course, me and Alan too.
Brian Parker.
Brian Parker, yeah, we've never actually physically met Brian. He had to cancel on the last outing, but
Yeah.
but
We met everybody
this
else.
is a whole totally different group. I mean, we're focused on we're more progressive for one. We're more focused on the craft and the art, and I'm really grateful to have been asked to be a part of this. And so when Hadley said, "Joe, I want you to do a podcast," I said, "Okay." And here we are.
Joe was like, "How do we
And
get?
you're
What kind
so
of
good
pod?
at
What
it.
kind of pod am I in? That's just like, what kind of pod? Is your pod big enough for me? What?
Oh,
Yeah.
Let's
Joe.
face it, we're Hadley's angels. The
Yeah,
sexy
Y'all
nurse
are.
who- the
Y'all
sexy
are.
nurse who
Oh,
runs
right.
the show and we
Oh.
never see her face. Alan,
Well-
you're Bosley, and the three of us are the angels.
I'll settle for that. Joe has got to be Farrah Fawcett because once he grows out that hair, believe it or not, he's got this big mane of blonde hair. It's outrageous. It's envious. It's envious. He looks like Ric Flair with that hair.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, and I've got
I'm
the
gonna have to get us a T-shirt made with this
280
design.
pounds to carry it. But
Can I address what Laura put up?
Yes, please.
about writer's block, I was right. Am I right? Is that what
Yes.
you're thinking, Scott?
Yeah.
Yeah. How do you guys get through the writer's block? Because I'm in a bit of a spot now, with spring coming and all. Am I right, Scott? Is that
Yeah,
what you
that's
were
what I
thinking?
wanted to discuss with her.
Okay.
Should
Hey,
I
I'm the
start?
host. I ask the questions here, mister.
Okay.
You watch yourself. Alan, take two Damaris off of his score.
I'm going to mute him.
Don't mute the CIA guy. Don't do it.
So, Rich, how do you get past writer's block, or you just don't have it?
Honestly, I did get it for a little while, but only for a little while, and I think that's because of the way I write. I kind of, like I said, I fly by the seat of my pants, and I just
That
there
goes
are
well with
times
what
when
Alf says.
right. I don't really get it. But what I do get is no time to write. So it'll be weeks before I can get to write, and it's not because it's a writer's block; it's because I just can't get to it. So it's effectively the same thing. I'll go weeks at a time without writing a word down, and I'm in that slump right now. I haven't written a word in 2 weeks. But insofar as writer's block, I just make shit up. So I really it's not that I don't understand it. I can see what it means to people. But it doesn't affect me like that. At least, not yet. It hasn't. I mean, I guess at some point that the hammer's going to drop and I'm just going to lose my marbles and say, what the hell? I don't know. I don't know what I'm doing because I really don't know what I'm doing. So
it's weird. It's weird. Like this, in 6 weeks, I wrote 60,000 words on a news story I started, Return of the Fae. And I'm really excited about this story. But in the last 3 weeks, I think I've added 100 words. So it's just
and that's how it goes. That's exactly how it goes.
60,000 in 6 weeks, and then boom, stop. How about you, Scott? How do you deal with it?
Usually it doesn't happen too often, but every once in a while I get to a point where I just can't write. I don't want to write. None of the words come. None of the plot comes. What I do is just say, F it. I take 3 days off where I refuse to write. I play video games. I read. I watch TV. I go out and, visit places in the area, but I refuse to write. And every time by day 3, I'm aching to get back to the computer because just all the plot lines start coming to me if I'm not concentrating on it. And I know with, what Rich says, I used to write during the pandemic is when I wrote most of my books because there was nowhere to go. I'd take the laptop out. I'd go out with a cigar and iced coffee, the 2 dogs. I'd get 2,000 or 3,000 words done a day.
I didn't get any time off during the pandemic.
Well, I was retired, so.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. There's that.
I got sick, but other than that.
Oh, yeah. But I mean, that's,
But you see, this is the point for all you people out there in TV land. It's a focused energy. It's not something we do by accident. we make time to write because mainly we want to entertain you. Hadley, do you ever get writer's block or do you just get too busy?
Well, when I wrote the first book, it was when I was taking care of my mom when she was on hospice. So I wasn't working. I was home all the time. The pandemic had started, and I needed something to fill my hours. And I thought this is the perfect time to write that book I've said I was going to write. So that's what I decided to do. And I didn't really suffer from writer's block during it, but since I have, and I think it has a lot to do with stress levels at work. When I'm working, I just can't find the time a lot of days to do it because all my energy or my creative energy has been spent. Um, so I think that has a lot to do with it. But to overcome the writer's block, listening to music is a big chill for me. I have certain music, I guess, musical tastes that kind of inspire me. Like I can listen to Stevie Nicks lyrics, and there's usually some phrase that she'll say, and I'll get it stuck in my head. And from that, I can build a story. And from there, I can kind of put some pieces together for some things. And I do that too with I call it angry white boy music, but angry white boy music does it for me too. You know, like when I was writing, well, actually, both of my books have a song list with them. So I put the music that I'm writing to in there, so you can, kind of get the vibe of where I'm coming from. It's not for everyone, but some people do like to, see what the music is that goes with it.
Mhm.
But
That's a good
you
idea.
know, well, I enjoy that, and to me, it's if you did one for your books, Alan, I would totally download it and listen to it because I want to know what's in your headspace. But I think that comes from one of my exes was in the military, and he called it kicking indoors music. That's the music that they would play when they were going door to door in Iraq. And so, I like that, theme music for the day, or,
Right.
that always helps me.
Right.
So, Hadley, what are you? I mean, Rich is a scientist. Scott is a retired CIA.
She's a
Alan
lifesaver.
is
Oh,
securities and Air Force mechanic. Me, I'm just a guy who can't seem to keep a job for more than 5 years in a stretch. Therefore, I've done pretty much everything. Um, what is your experience? What honed your skills to be who you are? Did you go to college?
well, I went to college. My undergraduate degrees in history,
Nice.
psychology. I've got a minor in English lit. I went back and got my master's degree in organizational leadership, but both of
You're
my
good at
degrees are
that.
if y'all only knew. No, both of my degrees are from a very, very, very Christian school here in Mississippi, Christian college, and so I've got a lot of religious courses as well. So I'm all over the place. I've been studying I guess, different types of religion pretty much.
You do get into the mystical side of things. How does that affect? I assume you're a Christian since you go to a Christian college, correct?
I don't identify. I feel like I'm
You
a
don't?
spiritual
Okay, cool.
person. Yeah,
Sure.
I've worked at a synagogue. Like I said, I've got a lot of experience with religious theology, and I just kind of found my own way. I
Sure.
feel like there's no wrong way to worship if it comes from a good place, and
I
I
wouldn't
respect other
disagree
people.
with that at all.
I like that.
Namaste,
It's a great philosophy.
Yeah.
or as I like to say in my head, Namaste MFs, but I say the whole thing in my head just because it makes me giggle. But no, I'm all over the place. I respect a lot of different types of people, and I think the history background really keeps me in the gray with a lot of things
Yeah.
because I can see both sides of the story. I don't buy into anything without researching it myself,
I think
and I
that's
kind of
something you and I have in common is that like me, for instance, I believe in Bigfoot and Chupacabra and Loch Ness.
Oh
I believe in
yeah.
all that. Why not? And you seem to do that, especially more on a spiritual level. Like you follow you post a lot of things about witchcraft and and it's really cool. I mean, a lot of really cool shit that I read, and I tell you,
Well,
the Phalanx guys would probably have fun with it, but I respect it. I think it's cool that you're
well,
open to all of
and
that.
I would say that one of the things we talked about last night in regards to like the witchcraft topic is I'm not one to really say the witchcraft stuff because a lot of it's stuff that our grandmothers did that would be considered witchcraft if someone else looked at it. But I mean, I'm sure everybody's grandmother has a little thing that she did that was kind of superstitious, but everyone in the family believed it.
Did you
So,
guys just read what Ash Hole put up?
Yeah.
Yes.
Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, I went to Catholic school too.
oh,
They
Nuns
wouldn't let
are
me in.
nuns are mean. Nuns were mean.
I'm sorry. I apologize. Go ahead, because you have a truly intriguing story, and if we're gonna all
oh.
follow you, because obviously we do, we're
Well, I
following
mean,
your
no,
guidance.
I really just believe ultimately at the end of the day, I believe that you can call it God, you can call it goddess, you can call it the universe, the great spirit, whatever rocks your boat. And that's how God connects with you. And I respect that in everybody.
I do. You're kind of on the mystical side, where I'm more on the physical side. Like, for instance, and you guys may call me crazy for this,
You're
Crazy.
crazy.
but here, okay, and I'm okay with that. Here we have Rich, who's a very intelligent, strong-willed man, black belt. Uh,
I don't know where you
Scott,
got the intelligent thing from.
Are you trying to pick up on it?
Scott, a
Jesus.
creative,
You getting
intelligent
jealous,
man
Alan?
who's
Yes.
been a professional, and Alan, who is, well, he's just cute as hell.
He really is. The beard, it gets me.
And he
You
blushes
mean, and
so
then
well.
and then you have me, who I am so fiercely independent that I'm just very hard. I'm very hard for anybody to have work under, because I voice my opinion, and typically we do things my way because it's the right way. But anyways, all of us, I'm a construction estimator. I work with a lot of construction people. I build houses by myself. I build houses with crews. I've been a chef. I've been a contractor, licensed. I'm an architect. I mean, I've just done everything in the blue collar industry. So it's like I've seen a lot more than most people. So when I say I'm right, they're wrong, it's not some gift from God. It's that I've been there. I've done that. I've
Didn't you
paid
tell
those
me
dues,
$20 is $20? Weren't you the one that told me that?
You know,
That's
Alan,
a hard lesson to learn.
leave the glory hole out of this. But all four of us,
It's a $1
who
million
are
idea.
who in some ways are similar, are all quite different, have decided to work with Hanley on her goal of podcasts and getting out there and letting people know about the written word and what we're about. And I'd like to know, I think that's impressive that we're all willing to just, accept that she's got the goal, she's got the ideal, and we're playing our part. We're not being told what to do. She's not saying do this, do that. We're doing our own thing. But
Wait a minute. She doesn't do that to you guys?
It's just for you, Rich. It's just you.
Remember
you,
that
Rich.
Joe
It's
said
you,
she's
Rich.
the dominant one.
There's no doubt about it. Anything that goes on in Wyrd Reality, it's what does Hanley say? Ask Hanley, and I think that's really cool. So when I hear people say all white people are sexist or racist or what have you,
Whoa,
and then
whoa.
I see the four of us who are just like, we recognize the person who has the best idea, who has the smartest path, and we're willing to go along with that path to build it into something. And I think that is not only a great thing, but a beautiful thing. And I'm glad to be a part of it. Somebody else say something before I really get myself.
Hey, Mark.
Well,
Yeah.
I think
Here.
the way that I always saw this group working together was working together, and that everybody's able to contribute what they can, and that we work for no one person's in charge. It might be my idea, but I'm willing to listen to what y'all have to say and to work with you. And one of the things that's impressed me is how y'all have walked into my little corner of the world, and you've stepped up and taken ownership, and now it's Weird Realities is no longer mine, it's ours. And I truly believe that. um the last couple of months, well, really since last August, it would not have survived if it hadn't been for you people. So
What do you mean,
I
you
think
people?
y'all,
What do you mean, you people?
you people,
Yeah,
you
what do you mean
people,
by
you
that?
people
You
with the
just said
penis.
it in Southern.
That's a little offensive, I
Joe's
mean,
always got an extra one.
I know. Being white, we're all racist and hateful, and
Okay,
we're
hold
proud
on.
of that white privilege. But come on,
Okay, Mr. White Privilege, here's a question. Laura has a question. How do you get your stuff published? Like self-publishing or through a publisher, or possibly both?
get
You
yourself
get an
an
answer on that?
Amazon. Get yourself an Amazon page, and they'll guide you through the steps of. Just read the page, and it'll guide you through the steps of becoming self-published.
You can write your own story.
Yeah.
Important thing, have someone edit it for you.
Yes.
That's good. That's
Yes.
that's an
Yeah.
indie book killer, is
Yes,
having
it
a
is.
bad editor, or not editing at all, or thinking
Yeah.
you can edit it.
Yeah.
It's always good to have an edit done, a great cover, pay a cover artist,
Right.
that does a good job. Because people do judge a book by their cover. They do. I do.
I say you need to go and look and see what your target audience is buying,
Right.
and that's the kind of cover you should go for. Because
Yeah,
I had a
that's
great
very
cover
smart.
with a great cover artist, but it was not what people in the genre were buying. I changed covers and my sales went up.
I have
Right.
such respect for all you guys because I never did any of that. My publisher called me. He sent me an email and he's like, "Hey, you write the book and I'm going to do everything else."
Yeah.
The only downside is poor marketing. But I mean, he came up with. I told him my cover idea, and he had a cover artist, and he came up with the run cover. Is, oh my god, what a great cover that is!
Yeah,
Mhm.
it is.
I literally write the book. I send it to them. They edit it, send it back to me. I okay it, and I'm done.
Yeah.
Do you like the cover? Yeah. Do the book back. Okay. So
I'm so jealous.
yeah.
Alan, can you cut Rich out of here?
Yeah.
No. There's a downside. There's a downside. The downside for having a publisher is that they take 30%.
Yes.
There you go. So
That-
we
And
guys-
you have no control.
Exactly, that's true. Because
So with this publisher, I actually do have a little control, which is nice. The only thing, I mean, I don't have control of the book sales, but who does?
Yeah.
But I have control of what goes in the book and what the book's about. And I signed off on the contract, so I actually got a little higher than a lot of other people do with the contract. But it was because I wasn't going to make any money anyway.
Yeah.
So,
Lara, reach out to me and I can chat with you a little bit more about it. But I started the traditional self-publishing, and none of the big names would touch me. No literary agent would touch me because horror was not a real genre unless your name is Stephen King. I switched.
And everything is horror. It's really weird that
Yeah.
has took so long to become a genre because
Yeah.
you know
And
all the
I-
movies were horror. Zombie is horror. You know, everything is horror.
Yeah,
People
I
love
switched.
to be scared.
I switched over to self-publishing because I got sick of dealing with publishers. I had one publisher whose name was mentioned earlier and who just took a beautiful publishing house and destroyed it
Yes.
because all they were interested, because the new owners were only interested in money, and they screwed me over big time. So I said, well, screw it. I'm going to take the two sequels, and I self-published them. And I thought, this is really easy. I pick the book cover. I can control the pricing. I can do deals whenever I want to, and I've been doing it that way ever since, and I like it. I wouldn't go back to a big name publisher because yeah, if they put the money in, but the problem with a publisher is if it's the 5 of us being published and Alan's the only book that's selling, they're going to put all the money into Alan, and the rest of us are going to have to fend for ourselves. So
Please put all the money into me, please.
yeah, he needs it.
Yes.
I self-published in December of 2020, and I did the research, and what I came up with was, okay, the pandemic's got everything shut down. I can go with a traditional publisher and not know when my book's going to get published. Or I can go the self-publishing route and do it all myself, which from what I was seeing being said was that, oh, well, even if you go with a publishing house, you still have to do your own marketing, which is the hard part.
Yes,
it's changed. The trade market has really changed from the early 80s to now.
It seemed to me a no-brainer to do the self-publishing.
Yes.
I don't know how you guys are doing on ebooks and such, but they don't seem to be moving much at all.
Right now, it's terrible.
Yeah.
I had a release last month, and it is hands down the worst release I've had.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, ebooks, that's where I bring in most of my sales.
Same.
And like one thing I noticed, I would bring print books to a convention, and I'd sell a lot of print books because everybody loves you getting the author's autograph and their picture with them. But over the next week, I'd see a huge spike in sales in ebooks.
I think they take those books, put them in the shelf for display, and then they read your ebook. Yeah. So that was
I mean, my sales have dropped by 2/3 over the past 6 months.
Oh yeah, mine have dropped. It's been really weird to market lately.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to stop putting
everything,
nude
guys.
pictures of me on the back cover.
It's not just books. It's there's a lot of struggle.
But if you're writing out there, keep writing, and it's the Wild West still for publishing, for self-publishing. It's still the Wild West out there. It's closing a little bit, but it's still
sincerely from the bottom of my heart, I want people to know that there's a lot of useless crap out there I have yet to buy. So buy my book.
Honestly, you got to write a good story, and you got to get lucky.
Yes.
I mean, the second one is just as important as the first.
Yeah. I used to worry about.
It doesn't matter how good your book is if you don't market it right.
Correct.
And different people. The funny thing is,
I'm a testament to that.
Different people are successful in different marketing platforms. So if you're reading somebody who says, "Oh, I made sold 10,000 copies last week on TikTok," TikTok might not be for you.
Right.
So, but like Rich was saying earlier, the best, you've got to make sure you've got a good story, original, well written, well edited. I have seen I've got a book out there I was so excited to read. The editing was so bad the chapters were misnumbered. It was like 1, 2, 13, 3, 4, 9, 8, 7. It was like I finally just deleted the book.
Yeah, it's a story killer.
I mean, when you spend so much money and time on getting things edited and hiring cover artists, I mean, people don't realize this. For a lot of us, this is coming right out of our pocket.
Yeah.
And
it's an act of love. It's like raising a child.
It is. You have to have something that is written well enough for you to invest money in that you don't know if it'll ever come back to you.
Well, okay, we're running on time here, so I got one. How about reviews? Let's talk reviews real quick. Okay, how many of you still read reviews?
I read every single review.
Me too.
Me too.
I don't.
No.
I
can't.
And the one that scores me the lowest and is the meanest is the one I focus on.
Yeah,
I won't pay attention to the all the wonderful things people say. It's that one asshole. I just, oh my God, I can't believe this person. I'm going to have to write them personally and ask them to,
The world is full of assholes too. That's the thing.
I read it, and I read it with an open mind. because some people are going to write you a great review because they like you, they like the book. But I mean, if this guy, my worst review was, this book sucked. I hated this book. Well, the book wasn't too bad. This isn't really my genre. And I guess the writer was really a good writer. I just didn't like what he was writing. I'll give him a 2. I mean, if you get a lot of bad reviews and they're all saying the same thing, maybe there's a reason why they're saying the same thing.
Yep.
Yeah.
So that's why
I can't read reviews. I mean, I'll go through them maybe once a month, but I can't care and I can't react. And I learned that when I first released my story, Cousin Sonny, which is now called Sonny. I think it'll have a cult following someday.
It's a great book.
But
It's getting one. I'm making sure that that's happening.
That's my favorite Joe Hansen book.
But nobody was reading it, and everybody was into zombies, and I write a book about a chimp. I mean, that's how in touch I am with society, and I just couldn't care. I got to myself to a point where I just can't care, because if I care, I won't write, and all I'll do is worry. So it changed my whole life throughout everything now, where people will say, well, don't say anything to Joe, he won't give a F, and I don't. And that's what this thing with reviews is, and forcing myself to not care has done for my entire life. I don't care really about anything except my life with my wife and where we're going in that.
I'm going to start reviewing you on everything you do. I'm going to start reviewing everything you do, Joe.
My favorite review was a bad review. And the reason for that was I read the review and I was like, wait a minute. And the guy, he bulleted items, and he's like, this sucked, this sucked, this sucked, and this sucked. And I went in there and I looked at the book and I was like, you know what, that does kind of suck. And actually that really sucks too. I'm not going to do that. Holy shit, that sucks too. The guy he nailed everything about the book that was bad. And he gave me I think it was a 1-star actually. He hated the story. Well, the thing was, he nailed everything, and that review made me make a better book next time.
Right.
So I looked at those points and I said, I'm not doing that again. And I didn't.
I do read. I do read them. I just can't care about them. Go ahead, Hadley.
I've got 2 things to say. One is, if you're going to leave a 1 review, don't do it. You're just a jerk. People, I mean, just for the effort that you put into a book, you deserve more than a 1, because it is a lot of hard work, and only 11% of the population ever finish a book they start to write. You're in the 11%, my friend, just for starting. You deserve a 2 for that.
See, I don't mind a 1-star review. Now, for me, if I don't like the book, I mean, I'm not saying that it's poorly written or poorly edited. If I just don't like the book, I won't review it. Same. Because that's not fair.
I won't either. I won't ever leave anything less than a 3-star. And
Unless,
3 stars, I probably wouldn't even leave. I would, if it's a 5-star and I've talked to the person, I'll probably leave a review. Otherwise, I kind of don't.
Oh no, I mean, I left the 1-star review because the book was on Kindle, and every page the font was different. Within the page, the font was different.
Maybe they were being artistic.
Poorly punctuated. I mean, poorly edited. This book gave me a headache. I just slammed the whole thing.
So believe it or not, monetarily, 1-star review can be as good as a 5-star review, because when you get more reviews, that's all Amazon looks at is the number of reviews, not how good or bad it is.
Right.
So they pimp your book better if you get more reviews. So if you've got 50 1-star reviews, well, people are going to look at that and say, wow, this book might really suck, but they're going to have the chance to see it, and that's the important thing.
Yeah.
Well, I had a review of a book I really was personal to me. I really liked it, and it said this book is a steaming pile of crap. The worst book in the series. Wow. And I was like, wow.
I read the book. It wasn't the worst.
I shouldn't have written that. I'm so sorry.
Yeah, that's okay.
I feel bad.
Did you take out the steaming part?
Hadley,
Well,
you
I
got
follow
something
with the
to
numbers.
say. I can see.
Yeah, I had a part. I had a part two.
Oh.
We just
Part
got-
Oh,
two.
sorry.
Shut up,
Part
Hadley
two.
speaking.
and it's a
between.
different point. But my question is, what do y'all think about people who write in the genre just to bank on it
Mm,
versus people who write the stories that they want to tell?
Those
Yeah.
are the ones that I find I'm reading somebody else's story through their words,
yeah.
and I it's very disappointing. And you can tell. I don't know if I'm going to make a good example of this, but take DJ Malls, and he uses the primordial as his main thing. And then my favorite author, one of my favorites, W.J. Lundy, who also uses the primal aspect of the infected. And neither one is copying the other. And you can see that. But then you take a story like what Tufo puts out, and you see how many people try to sound just like him,
Oh yeah.
and
Yeah.
they'll write one or two and they're gone, and you use, if you've been reading the genre for a while, you learn to spot it, and all you can do is hope that they either gain a soul and decide to write their own thing,
Yeah.
or fade away.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did I hit that right for what you were
You
saying?
did.
Andy?
You
No,
hit
you're
that right.
absolutely right. Yeah.
The soul thing is what gets me. It's the soul.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I read a lot of zombie books and watch a lot of zombie TV and movies, so I don't copy. My wife will tell you one night I was so mad. I just written this really great action scene with them using a busload of zombies and breaking into the enemy compound and releasing them. And I finished it, and we sat in bed and we watched The Walking Dead, and the governor sends a busload of zombies into the prison. I was so mad that night because I had to go and rewrite the whole scene.
Exactly the same thing happened to me.
Yeah.
It was with
Now,
The Walking Dead and
had
the rocket launcher.
I've had
Go
my
ahead,
zombie
Hadley.
apocalypse plan since the 80s. And my zombie apocalypse plan was to go to the prison because we have a little local prison close by. And that was my plan. And then I was like, I had this idea way before The Walking Dead was even a thought. But it's a good thought.
Wow.
The prison
Well,
is a good place to go.
I can tell by the look in Alan's eye that
We got to
He's
wrap
got
it
to
up.
go.
he's done.
We got to wrap it up, folks.
He
This has
always
been
gets
fun.
that sad yet satisfied look on his face. So
Just like sex. We're gonna have to wrap it up, folks. That's our time. So
this was fun. I want to thank you guys for all coming
Thank
on.
you for having me, Joe.
Thanks for having us, Joe.
Yes, Joe.
My pleasure. My pleasure. We'll do it again sometime. I mean, you guys are my backup. So who knows, when I go fishing in Canada, who knows, maybe one of you will have to host the show for me. I'd appreciate that if we do. But it was great having you on. Alan, 3, 2, 1. Shut her down.
We are out. Thank you for joining us, everybody. Thank you very much. And we'll see you Thursday.
Bye, guys.
Happy Mother's Day.
Happy Mother's Day.
Happy Mother's